There we go. Teams in general, you daddy. Just how this kind of a backbone, a consistency between teams. Nope, I don't want that. Boom. There we go. All right. 5-star Magicite building guide. So I made this earlier this week. What is it, the 4th? So I made this 2 days ago. But this has been a long time running, or a long time coming. I'm talking about this almost pretty consistently on Discord for probably about a month now. But I finally got up off my ass, which means I finally found the time to be... No, this needs to be refreshed. To make this. And what's so important about this is knowing the kind of teams that we want to make in the future for 5-star Magicite allow us to prepare what we can right now in our 4 stars. This is something I wish I had done for 3-star. So, like, figure out what 3 stars we needed so we could, you know, learn the inherit system. It's probably why I didn't make it, because I didn't completely understand the inherit system until I actually used it. There's nothing different about 5-star Magicite that would prevent me from making this guide. They have 2 inherit slots instead of 1. That's it. It allows greater flexibility in creating your team. And that greater flexibility allows us to plan better. But one thing we cannot do with 5-star Magicite is plan an Earth team. Because the first 5-star Magicites to be released are Quetzalcoatl and King Behemoth. And they are a lightning Magicite that are vulnerable to Earth damage. We will not have Earth 5-star Magicites to use against them. So what we can do right now is actually the most important thing that we can do once you're done with your 4-star stuff. Is work towards building your ideal 4-star Earth team. And once you do that, then you put yourself in a great position to be able to defeat Quetzalcoatl and King Behemoth, and when you defeat them, you get 5-star Lightning Magicite. And then you carry that on to the next fight, and to the next fight, and so on. So this is your foot in the door for 5-star Magicite, is this Lightning. And, yeah, it's pretty important putting together that Earth team. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. So I really, really simplified the 5-star Magicite building guide versus the 4-star. I am going to put some, like, just monologue text in here. But right now it's just the bare essentials, which is going to be worth it for everyone that's reading this, because I'm just going to be saying the things that I would be writing here anyway. It's very, very simple. I have it split into 4 sections inside each heading. Physical inheritance, magical inheritance. And it's the exact same for each of them. Except when we're using 5-star Magicite, so this is the water, and we're going to have access to 5-star Lightning Magicite at this point. When we get 5-star Magicite, the team stays the same, because 5-star Magicite aren't divided between attack boon and magic boon. It's actually the same team. We inherit the attack boons and the magic boons onto the Magicite. So the makeup is the same for magical and attack. Alright, so Earth. Physical. This one's a little contentious. You don't have to do this, but we do have 3 more months until this gets released. So you have the time. An interesting thing here is using Midgard Zormer as your primary Magicite on an attack or physical-based team. The Summer Sunfest? No, the Summerfest does have a decent Earth banner with Tifa on it, but the Earth banner you're really looking for is, well, there's the magical Earth banner that happens in the next festival in September, the Autumn Festival. That's where everyone's going to get caught up on their magical Earth. And then physical Earth just occurs a lot more often from now on, and I will talk about that. Alright, so Midgard Zormer. We're using Midgard Zormer here instead of Shell Dragon. Shell Dragon's the Imperil Earth Magicite. It's because Midgard Zormer is... So, differences. Midgard Zormer is plus 10% increased Earth damage for your team. Shell Dragon is a minus 20% resistance to Earth. Imperil. And Shell Dragon nets more damage. But Shell Dragon is a 3-star Magicite and has less stats than Midgard Zormer. And because Midgard Zormer has more stats, all these boons that you're using, the attack boon and the defense boon, the health boon, they add to your stats more. And another thing is 4-star Magicite come with another passive on them, and this Fast Act is actually really important because it allows you to inherit other things onto your Magicite for more offensive capability. So while the actives for Midgard Zormer and Shell Dragon favor Shell Dragon, Midgard Zormer brings better passive stuff. A level 15 Empower Earth rather than the level 10 Empower Earth for Shell Dragon. Fast Act. And Midgard Zormer's attacks while you have it summoned, you know, Magicite take their turn and do things, is actually more powerful as well. So I do believe Midgard Zormer is a slightly better choice than Shell Dragon. If you don't want to level up a Midgard Zormer, that's fine. But you'll notice here that this one Midgard Zormer I have with an Empower Earth inherited onto it is the exact same thing that you were going to use on your magical team anyway. So that's the benefit there, is that it's just an overlap. You're going to use it anyway, so why not have it available for your physical team instead of Shell Dragon? You can use either one. I'm just showing you my preference. The only difference here, if you were to use Shell Dragon instead, is this would say Shell Dragon, and you would inherit Empower Earth onto it. That's it. Where Midgard Zormer is Midgard Zormer and Empower Earth. It's the only difference. Next up is a Catastrophe, because Catastrophe is the attack boon 4-star Magicite. Empower Earth, attack boon, Deadly Strikes. It's all good. And I inherited Precise Strikes onto it. So Precise Strikes increases crit chance. Deadly Strikes increases crit damage. They're obviously meant to work together. And what we've done here, instead of using another Catastrophe, is we use 2 Evrays. Evray is just really powerful, and the reason why you use 2 Evrays here is because you're using 4 offensive Magicite. If you were only using 3, then I would use 1 Evray, and you're going to see that later, down here. 2 offensive, 1 Evray. 2 defensive. And I'll talk about why I do that. So we got 4 offensive. And Evray, the nice, great part about Evray is it's a generic Magicite. It's useful on every single team that you can make. So inheriting something onto an Evray is... well, it saves you a hell of a lot of experience. That's what it does. Because that Evray is going to be good on one team. It's going to be good on another team. It's going to be good on another team. So it's you get a lot of value out of that, and everybody by now knows how difficult it is to level up Magicite, so that's great. So we're getting the benefit of 3 level 15 Empower Earths, 2 Evrays for both of its surging powers, 3 attack boons, and anybody who's followed along any of my Magicite guides at all, I'm pretty staunch on at least physical teams having 3 empowers, 3 attack boons, and going from there. As long as you have those, then it's time to start racking up damage passives. 2 fast acts in a physical team isn't that great. I might change this. It's fine. It's fine. You're running out of things you can do. I think the only reason I did this is because having a fast act Evray is just good. It'll always be good because fast act is a universally good thing. It's good for physical and magical. Health boon. It's a defensive thing that's good for both physical and magical. Where ideally on this team, I think I'd want a second precise strikes, but do I want to take the time to level up a 3rd Evray for precise strikes? Because I'm going to make a fast act and health boon Evray. That's final. Do I want to make yet another one for precise strikes? I do have 3 Evrays, but I'm pretty sure that my 3rd Evray is going to have magic boon on it. I'm kind of undecided. So, like I put down here in question marks, I guess you can consider this fast act to also be question marks. Kind of undecided. The health boon is kind of final, though. Even if we do get one occurrence of that on the Earth Guardian. So, I know I'm hopping around all over the place, but there's a very, very easy to understand pattern here. Midgard Zormer makes a good main Magicite. It has increased Earth damage by 10%. 3 Empower Earths, 3 attack boons, Deadly Strikes, Precise Strikes, the 2 Surging Powers from Evray, 2 Dampen Lightnings. Like I like to do with 4-star is use a Dampen Magicite and then inherit Dampen onto it because a second Dampen is still very good. And then just roll with it. Since we don't have a Spell Ward or a Blade Ward, having a Spell Ward or a Blade Ward Evray in this slot for both of these is not a bad idea. That is something I may plug this hole with, because Spell Ward and Blade Ward are very good passives. They stop a lot of damage, and they get even better. 5-star Magicites increase the benefit from 5% to 8%. So that's possible. Does anyone have any questions about this team, the physical team? Does anyone wonder why I put so much focus onto this 4-star Magicite team? Because I think it's just really important to get that first 5-star down, so you can start racking up those really neat 5-star Magicites. The magical team, really easy to understand. On the physical team, because Evray has attack boon on it, that made the physical team really easy. We're using 2 Evrays, so we automatically get 2 attack boons. That allowed us to only have to use 1 catastrophe for an attack boon. So I got 3 attack boons. Magical is a little different. Since we have 2 Midgard Zormers, since we replace the catastrophe with a Midgard Zormer, it makes sense. Hey Solus, why use 3 attack boons? Isn't the 3rd about a 4% increase in stat? Yeah, but it's still nice. I guess it depends on the team. If you're, like, Legend Dived and everything, you probably don't need that last attack boon. But there isn't a whole lot else you can use. Well, honestly, there's nothing else you can use. I suppose that's the point. You want to have a catastrophe. You want to have 2 Evrays. There's your 3 attack boons. It's not like you have a choice there. where you do have a choice on the magical team, because you do only have, with this setup, 2 magic boons. You could say, all right, I only want to run 2 magic boons. The problem there is magical teams love magic boon. The magical soft cap is much higher than the physical soft cap, and it's much harder to hit the magical soft cap because there's less ways to buff magic. So magical teams love their 3 magic boons. So we have a choice. Do we inherit a magic boon? Where we don't have that choice for the physical team. But because magical teams love magic boons so much, the choice is yes. I say, give me my 2 Midgard Zormers and give me my inherited magic boon for 3 of them. Doubly so because the best passive, the best offensive passive you can give to a mage team is Fast Act, and you're already running 2 Midgard Zormers, so you're pretty heavy on Fast Act already. I have a question. When you inherit your Midgard Zormer, will you use another Midgard Zormer to get max power? Either Midgard Zormer or Catastrophe, whichever one you have more of. Yes. We have a lot of time to make this team. I am going to use the best stuff. So I'm not going to use a 3-star. Or I'm not going to use a level 13 Empower Earth. I'm going to use a level 99 Midgard Zormer or Catastrophe. And give a level 15. So I will have the 2 level 15 Empower Earths, and then another level 15 Empower Earth inherited from a 4-star. Because I'm going to put in all of the effort. Yeah, it's a leveling pain. And I think that's something I should go over right now. In regards to this team is pursue your sub-30s if you want to. They're a nice achievement. It feels good to do them because they're difficult. They require testing, experimentation. There's a nice feeling of achievement. I'm saving up my Arcana for the release of 5-star Magicite. Because we're not locked by keystones anymore, so we can farm a lot of Magicite all at once. And I'm going to want to put all of my experience into 5-star Magicite. Okay, so it's a nice feeling of achievement, but you know, I was going to talk about this later, and I think I'm going to talk about this later. Yeah, I am going to, but I will say right now, it's not essential to sub 30 any of the 5-star or 4-star Magicite, like for reward purposes, other than Malorus and Midgard Zormer. Oh, and another would be Siren. So that makes 3, because you do want to level up 2 Evrays. So think about this. See, look what you see here. Midgard Zormer, Catastrophe, Evray, Earth Guardian. Evray comes from Siren. The other 3 come from Midgard Zormer. So those are 3 Magicites that you want to farm. So you want to be able to sub 30 the thing that you're farming, so you're getting Earth Crystals. What's really nice about this entire thing, and it's probably completely incidental, is Earth Crystals are really useful. Really, really, really useful. And I planned on talking about this after the Magicite building guide, because it ties together, because you're farming Magicite to assemble these Magicite decks, and you want to farm the ones that have the best crystals that you're going to get from your sub-30s. So the most important sub-30s in my mind are Malorus, which I haven't talked about why yet, but I will. Midgard Zormer, because this is a lot of Magicite that needs to be farmed up. And Siren, because Evrays. Everything else is kind of a luxury. Ixion? No, not Ixion. I don't think. So let's think about that. We have 2 Midgard Zormers that we want to make. One is going to inherit Magic Boon, the other is going to inherit Empower Earth. That Empower Earth Midgard Zormer can also be used on the physical team. So that's 2 Midgard Zormers, 1 Catastrophe, 2 Evrays, 1 Earth Guardian, and now look at our inherits. We want an Empower Earth, so another Midgard Zormer or Catastrophe. Precise Strikes, we can't get that from Midgard Zormer Catastrophe, so we got to get that elsewhere. So that's something to think about too. And that is something I'll get to later when I talk about Malorus, is we can't get Precise Strikes from either Fire or Earth, which are very important for our Magicite. Where do we go from there? I believe there's 3. There's 3 Magicite that have Precise Strikes on them for inheritance purposes, and that's Eisgebind, Silver Dragon. I think it's Silver Dragon. It is, because TMS and Magic Boon, and Mimic Queen. So anyway, I will talk about that later. Fast Act we can get from another max leveled Midgard Zormer, and Health Boon we can get from a max leveled Earth Guardian, or we can get that from a max leveled King Bomb. So the only thing we need to get externally from Fire and Earth is Precise Strikes, which is really nice. It's really nice that Fire and Earth cover so many passives. Yep, you daddy, I said Eisgebind, Silver Dragon, and Mimic Queen. So this little look into how my teams are going to run for 5-star Magicite are very different from everything below this point. Because these teams are completely made of 4-star Magicites. The next Magicite I take a look at is going to be quite a bit different, because 5-star Magicites are very different. Very, very different from what we've come to get used to with 4-star. So, final call for questions on the 4-star. While I take a swig of coffee. I got one of the biggest coffees I have ever had before, because I was really sluggish before this stream. I don't know why. But I feel friggin' great right now. Wow. Okay, well, with no questions, I will continue on to the next stage, which... Oh, you said sub 30 is a luxury in all Magicites have Holy Fire Earth, but sub 30 on Siren is also a luxury because there's no huge need for Holy Crystals. Right now. Yes. I don't think it's good to farm Magicite without getting crystals for them. Yeah, it's not a like immediate pressing need, but I always think back to my Ultra Cure situation, where when Ultra Cure was released, I was like, this is just a flat upgrade from Curaja. I don't want to use Curaja anymore if I don't have to. I'd rather, in situations where I need hones and the ability to Asuna somebody, I want to have a high honed Ultra Cure. So I spent a lot of white orbs on Ultra Cure. And that was the only instance in my memory that I ran out of orbs and had to, you know, consider shattering things, because I was so tapped on white orbs. Because if all you veterans out there remember, you know, we used to have the easiest call for an event day, you know, a day that you don't do dailies but you do events instead, on White Crystal Day, or White Orb Day, because white orbs were largely considered useless for a long time. Until they weren't. They are until they aren't. And that's my actual point here, is you don't want to find yourself in a situation where they suddenly become useful. And you've been neglecting them, you know? So while I agree it's not as important as fire crystals, because we know that fire crystals are extremely important. We know earth crystals are extremely important. We can only assume that holy crystals will eventually become important. So you're right. It's not as much of a need, but I wouldn't say that it's a luxury. I guess the point I was trying to make was, since Evrays are something that we do want to farm, we do want them, that sub-30ing Siren would be a good idea. If you can't if you cannot sub-30 Siren, if there is no foreseeable way on banners that you could pull on in the near future for you to sub-30 Siren, don't worry about it. Get those Evrays. Getting the Evrays is just more important. Evray is just super, super important. Okay. Yes. I really feel strongly about sub-30ing Maloriths. I think fire crystals are the most important crystal that we can farm from Magicite. And like I said, I'm going to go into why after I get through this article. Okay, so the water Magicites, which come after lightning, they're going to go around. So I'll switch over. No, come on. I hate this new thing. Hey, Andres. Okay, so we're starting off with lightning, and then we're going to go to water, then we're going to do fire, then ice, then wind, then earth, then holy and dark. So every month a new 5-star Magicite gets released, and they go around. So the Magicite that you farm from the 5-star lightning is going to be useful for the next one, and those are going to be useful for the next one, and those are going to be useful for the next one. So, yeah. That's why all of this is like, it comes in stages because this happens in a month. And right now I'm going to talk about the water. Fanfrit and Geoskyno. Now, like I said, the team is static, but it's not really. I guess you'll see why in a second. So we have 2 King Behemoths, 2 Quets, and a single Evray. The reason why we have a single Evray is because Evray is less flexible. Evray is Empower Holy, useless. Attack Boon, useless to Magic Team. And really you're just using it for the Surging Power and its 1 inherit slot. So that's 2 useful passives if we're talking about using them across 2 teams. And that Attack Boon being there means that physical teams have more flexibility because they gain another passive. A passive that magical teams don't have access to. However, that cancels itself out because physical teams get the benefit of Fast Act, Precise Strikes, and Deadly Strikes. All 3 of those passives. Magic teams only benefit from Fast Act. So magic teams require less inherits so that's okay. What would you inherit there? Magic Boon? Well, I'm about to go into that right now. That's why we have the inherit guides. So we have 2 King Behemoths. Those are the physical, not the physical, the offensive 5-star. Now, in 4-star, I'm sure you've realized the pattern. There's an offensive physical, there's an offensive magical, and there's a defensive magicite. In 5-star, there's only 2 instead of 1, or instead of 3. One is the empower, and one is the dampen. And that's how they're separated. Why I use 2 of each instead of, say, 3 King Behemoths, because we obviously want 3 Empower Lightnings, is because I want to be able to get this across. It's the passives. It's the secondary passives. So if you use 3 King Behemoths, then you have 3 Precise Strikes passives. And then if you use Quetz, and you only use 1 Quetz, then you only have 1 Fast Act passive. There's very little benefit to using a 3rd Precise Strikes. Especially for a Magic team. There's no way you would want that. So why I've split them up is to lessen the effect of having a 3rd diminishing returns passive on Fast Act and Precise Strikes. Because there's no reason why you wouldn't want 2 Dampen Waters. There's no reason why you wouldn't want 2 Empower Lightnings. So it makes sense to use 2. And there's no reason to use 3 and 1. Because then you're just tripling up on a passive that either you don't want for magical, or you'd rather have something else for physical. So I've used 2 of each and 1 Everay, because just having 1 Surging Power is worth the Everay. All the time. On every team. So honestly, this guide is super simple. It's super simple. 2 Empower, 2 Dampen, 1 Everay. 2 Empower, 2 Dampen, 1 Everay. It's so easy to understand. But let's talk about the defining characteristic of 5-star Magicite. 2 inherit slots, so you can get really creative. But because there's so few passives in the game, there's actually not that much creativity that you can get through. So what we have here is my inheritance guide, which is, you'll see in parentheses, 2 passives. That's for each of the inherit slots. So I've got a King Behemoth here dedicated to physical team. Attack Boon, Attack Boon. Combined with the Attack Boon of Everay, that gives us 3 Attack Boons. And this is a good opportunity for me to go into Empower, Dampen, Attack Boon, and Magic Boon. Or actually, there are no Attack Boons and Magic Boons on fire. Empower and Dampen are the same strength as 4-star Magicite. There's no reason to... you'll see here, this Empower Lightning. Because I want a 3rd Empower on the team, right? So I would inherit a 3rd one onto them. That gives us 3 Attack Boons and 3 Empower Lightnings. It's a level 15 Empower Lightning for a 5-star Magicite, and it's a level 15 for 4-star. So what you can do ahead of time is stack up a level 99 4-star Mimic Queen, or what's the other one? Oh god. Oh, Garuda. And inherit that Empower Lightning onto a King Behemoth. So it's something you can prepare ahead of time if you'd like. Is having at least 1 or probably 2 Empowers ready to go for each 5-star team. So see, we have a King Behemoth here with Empower Lightning and Deadly Strikes. It's a physically based one. Empower Lightning Magic Boon here, magically based one. So that means we have 2 different King Behemoths So we need 2 Empower Lightnings. Something to work on, not all that important. Because there's plenty of time to get here. This team is the more pressing need, so that's what I was trying to get through, or get across, when I was talking about this little diagram here, is that each of these happen 1 month at a time, so you want to start first and then just start moving forward from there. Get one team squared away, move ahead. Get the next team squared away, move ahead. The reason why we have the inheritance like this, and the reason why this magic boon is necessary, is because of Evray and that attack boon. Magic teams want 3 magic boons. And since the Quetz has 2 fast stacks on it already, there's nothing else that you can give to a magic team to increase its offense. So you want another magic boon. And because it's not present on the Evray, you gotta inherit it. Something that I tried to do when assembling these teams was having both of the dampened Magicites, which in this instance is the Quetz, have them have uniform passives inherited, so you could use the same 2 on each team. You'll see Blade Ward, Spell Ward, Defense Boon, and Resistance Boon here, which is something we don't really consider all that much for 4-star Magicite. Well, it turns out 5-star Magicite hit really hard. And being able to defend your team it's not just a matter of offense anymore. It's not just, oh, well, since I can defend my team better, well, I can do more damage. When it comes to 5-star Magicite, these defensive passives are, well, since I can defend my team now, I'm not going to die. That's the difference. It's kind of different than we're used to. It is very hard to keep teams alive in 5-star Magicite fights. They deal a lot of damage. So, I have in most cases arranged for Blade Ward, Defense Boon, Spell Ward, and Resistance Boon to occur on every one of these teams. Apart from Evray, would 3-star, 4-star Magicite still have use on a sub-team if you have access to 5-star? Have use? Yeah. If you're unable to, like, experience up and these are ideal teams, and you're not expected to assemble this ideal team. And for all you completionists out there, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this. And that's something I want to put in text up here, is that you should not feel pressured to assemble the perfect team. It's okay if you sub in a 4-star or a 3-star Magicite in these slots. Because a lot of the time, like, think about it, I'm asking you to put in 3 Empower Lightnings on this team. You know? And with the way passives work is the level 15 Empower Lightnings go level 15, then drop down to a 7.5, which rounds up to 8, and then drops to a 3.75, which rounds up to 4. When you get to the 3rd passive, there isn't actually all that much difference between what a 3-star Magicite provides, like, and Leal, with a level 10 Empower Lightning and a level 10 Attack Boon. There's the amount of difference between a 5-star Magicite and Leal at this point isn't all that much. 5-star are better. They are noticeably better. So you do want to use them if you can, but don't feel bad if you have to use an Unleal, if that's what you had leveled up from way, way back in the day. What's up, Stone Cold? And the same goes for Mimic Queen. You can use these, and there's no shame, and you will be able to beat 5-star Magicite by using these. all I'm doing here is outlining ideal teams, something to work towards. So that's the whole point. Is I experience this fight. I go into Famfrit and Juice Gyno. I realize that with my team, I cannot beat this content. Where do I look? I looked for two places. There's two kind of people in the world, gacha people and non-gacha people. You can either look to the gacha, you can spend Mithril and try to improve the team that way, or you can spend stamina on leveling up Magicite and try to improve the team that way. Sorry. So one thing you can do if you, like, you've looked to the future of the game and you realize, oh, I don't really have any lightning teams that I can pull on in the near future, or lightning banners I can pull on. So how do I improve my team? Do I overcommit on a really bad lightning team? Or a really bad lightning banner and just try to hope for that one relic that's on it that's going to help my team? Or do I try to start leveling up some Magicite and improve my team that way? That's what this guide is for, is, well, okay, I can start replacing some of my 3-star and 4-star Magicite now with these. So that's what this is. Is there anything more I can talk about here? Health Boon is really useful. Secondary passives. You know, I talked about Empower Lightning, or Empowers and Dampens are the same thing between 5-star and 4-star. That's not true for secondary passives. Precise Strikes on King Behemoth is native, and Fast Act is native on Quetz. They are stronger than their 4-star counterparts. Oh, oops. You see here on Enliers what kind of benefits you'll see there. So I arranged these by rarity. We see in the passive 2 column, Behemoth King has a opportunity to create a level 10 Precise Strikes. That's a 10% increase in crit chance. If you have another level 10 Precise Strikes, that generates a 5% more, which is actually still really nice. And a level 10 Fast Act, which is really good too, because that makes even a level 2 Fast Act worth having. Where on 4-star Magicite we see Eyes Gebind has a level 8 Precise Strikes, and Garuda has a level 8 Fast Act. So the 5-star Magicites do have better passives at that level than 4-star do. So if you really, really want to get down to it, and you really want to squeeze out extra strength, starting from Quetz and King, you can stop farming up Fast Acts and Precise Strikes for inheriting onto 5-star Magicite, because what you want to do is farm up 5-star Magicite instead, inherit their passives onto 5-star Magicite. Now we're getting some really expensive stuff. And now you can see why I'm saving all of my Arcana for 5-star Magicite. Because what I'm basically doing is banking on my Earth teams that I'm leveling up now to get me those 5-star Magicite, which I can then start leveling up to use and to inherit from. What about Health Boon affects those in trance? Well, trance is a percentage-based occurrence. What, you have to be below 20% health? Having Health Boon is usually beneficial. It increases the amount of health that your characters have, which increases the amount of area on your character in which they can trance. if you've been trancing without health boon up to this point, then you're probably going to have to find a different way to trance, because you're probably going to have more health, and the way that you were doing it before might not do it anymore. But I don't see that being that big of a deal. Certainly not worth staying away from health boon, because health boon actually gets really powerful, because these 5-star Magicite have really, really good stats. And health boon is something that it doesn't just increase your health. What it does is it takes a percentage of your Magicite's health and adds it to yours, which is important for mages and stuff, because if you took a percentage of mages' health and added it to theirs, you wouldn't get that much. But because health boon is based on the Magicite's health, that means that health boon is more beneficial to mages than it is physical, but it's good for both. It really is a sizable amount of health. So the reason why I use the health boon ever here instead of Fast Act is because we get Fast Act natively on Quetz. So it just makes the most sense. And if we make a Blade Ward or a Spell Ward Evray, I wouldn't want to use those either, because it just makes too much sense to put Blade Ward and Defense Boon together. So, Health Boon Evray just works perfectly here. You could use a Magic Boon Evray. See, there's never anything wrong with making a Magic Boon Evray. It's something I may do. Because no matter what, that Magic Boon Evray will be your Magic Boon, or your Magical Team Magicite. And I think by doing that here, you'd probably save yourself. You would save yourself an entire 5-star Magicite if you think about it. It's slightly weaker, but it's easier on the experience pool. Look on our physical team, we have a King Behemoth with Empower Lightning and Deadly Strikes. But for the magical team, we have to make an entirely new King Behemoth to give it Magic Boon. What if we used the Empower Lightning Deadly Strikes Magicite on the magical team and just got rid of Health Boon and put Magic Boon here instead? That makes us less potent, because we're not less potent. So we're losing Health Boon. Yeah, we're losing Health Boon to make it easier on our experience. That's it. And that's why I didn't put that here, because I figure I might as well highlight the ideal team. Rather than one where you're really just sacrificing Health Boon to save yourself from farming another King Behemoth up to full. And honestly, I don't have to spend that much time on these next ones, because everything that I said for these applies here. For Phoenix and Belias and Manticore and Mateus. Everything. Zugios, Gynos, Evray, Famfrit. These come with two different passives, where before we had Precise Strikes and Fast Act, here we have Blade Ward and Spell Ward. So what does that immediately make me think? Well, I don't have to put Blade Ward and Spell Ward on the 2 Dampen Magicite anymore. And that's true. Physical Inheritance Guide. You see Defense Boon and Resistance Boon, but no Blade Ward and Spell Ward. That's it. You can if you want. Because remember what I said? It's a 5-star Magicite. Their secondary passives are stronger. So you could double up on Blade Ward and Spell Ward. And it's something to think about. So they get 8%ers. That is a lot of damage reduction. Where Blade Ward and Spell Ward in 4-star Magicite is only a 5%. That is a big boost between 4-star and 5-star Magicite. So you're moving from 5-star, or sorry, 5% to 8%, and if you put another spell ward on there, they'd be reduced to 4%, which is almost as good as the 4-star Magicite. Let's see if we have room. Like, does it make sense to use a second Blade Ward or Spell Ward here? So I want... Oh, something I didn't go over here. With Defense Boon and Resistance Boon, it's actually pretty important. Two things about them. One, Defense Boon and Resistance Boon add to your base stats. We hear a lot of hubbub about piercing attacks. Ignores defense, ignores resistance. So what is the point in adding to those stats if it's just going to be ignored anyway? Defense Boon and Resistance Boon add to your base stats, which means even piercing attacks obey the Defense Boon and Resistance Boon provided by Magicite. And as with all boons, what a boon is it takes a percentage of the Magicite's stats and adds them to yours. So the better Magicite that you're using, the more stats you're going to get. And these can be important, especially for teams that use things that are based on defense and resistance, like Earthbringer and Guardbringer. Earthbringer will be relevant, but I think Earth Guardian comes with Defense Boon on it, thank goodness. It does. Okay, and that's one thing about Defense Boon and Resistance Boon not a lot of people know, and why these are actually good passives that we overlook in 4-star because it was usually just better to try it in glass cannon fights. But Defense Boon and Resistance Boon are particularly good in this situation because what we're doing here is, this is an inheritance guide, right? So these would be inherited onto Famfrit. First of all, we see that we can get Blade Ward from 5-star. We can get Spell Ward from 5-star. We can get Fast Act from 5-star. We can get Precise Strikes from 5-star. We cannot get Defense Boon and Resistance Boon from 5-star. So that makes it actually a high value inherit to start working towards right now. And a great thing about Defense Boon and Resistance Boon, as well as Attack Boon and Magic Boon, for all of you that are terrified, terrified of this, I have to inherit 2 Attack Boons, and on a Magic team, I have to inherit 3 Magic Boons. So 3 Magic Boons, 3 Attack Boons, or 2 Attack Boons, a Defense Boon and a Resistance Boon. Oh my goodness. But that's okay. Take a look at Mimic Queen here. Attack Boon, level 15. Attack Boon level 15 comes at level 80. In order to get Attack Boon, you do not need to have a level 99 Magicite. All you need is 3 Mimic Queens, level to 80, set it aside. That'll be one of your Magic Boons. Garuda. And actually, a better Magicite to look at this is, where you want to get your Attack Boons and Magic Boons from, is Malorus. King Bomb. Magic Boon level 15. Level 80. Resistance Boon. Level 15 comes at level 80. I don't know what the exact calculation is, maybe Solus can help me with this, but leveling a Magicite from 1 to 80 takes less experience than it takes to level a Magicite from 80 to 99 by like 2 times. It's easy to level Magicites to 80. Very easy. I thought you were the one that knew the calculation. But anyway, it's really, really easy. It's leveling Magicite to level 99 that sucks ass. Pardon the vulgarity, but it really, really just sucks ass. Leveling them to 80, you can do multiple a week. So going back over to this Magicite Inheritance Guide, we realized that putting together this collection of inherits isn't that difficult. Because so many of the inherits are only level 80 required. So the Magicite that we've leveled to 99 just by default, like, I had a lot of time killing Tiamat, which I'm sure a lot of people did. So I have some good Ice Magicite, which means I have 2 Ice Gabines. So I already have a level 8 Precise Strikes. 2 level 8 Precise Strikes ready to go. So filling in... Another one I had trouble with was Midgard's Warmer, because I went really bare bones in trying to put that team together with Lunith BSB and Bart's. So I have some more Precise Strikes ready to go. I have a lot of Precise Strikes. So filling in these Magicite passives here, it isn't as difficult as it looks, because so much of it is taken up by attack boons and defense boons. And there's also a lot taken up by Evray, which you only have to do once, because you're using the same Evrays for every single one of these fights. It seems like a lot, but it's not. Empower Water, or your empowers that you're getting from these teams, should be fairly simple, because you're probably going to have at least 1 level 99 empower in your 4-star Magicite. Just because. It's nice to have one. And once you have a 5-star ready to go with Empower Water, then you don't need your 4-star anymore. So it's okay to get rid of that Magicite and inherit it over. So what do we have here? What's the difficulty? Health Boon and Fast Act. Precise Strikes. That's it. Health Boon and Fast Act. That's it. A lot of these passives are actually kind of easy to obtain. And many of them will be things that we have just accumulated naturally over the time that we've been doing 4-star Magicites. So a lot of those Magicites that you're using right now, like, you may lament that you overcommit on one boss, you know? That's okay, because a lot of those passives that you overcommit and leveled up can be used for 5-star Magicite. There's plenty of room to make future use of them. And moving on to Manticore Mateus, it's the same stuff. They start out with Deadly Strikes and Health Boon, which means our ice teams are going to have a lot of health, because we're going to have 2 health boons. And you see the Evray just changes to a Fast Act Evray to accommodate that we already have Health Boon. Evray makes things flexible. We're back to, since we don't get Spell Ward or Blade Ward from Belias and Phoenix, we're back to this. Simple Blade Ward Defense Boon, Spell Ward Resistance Boon. So we can use the same 2 Phoenixes for each team. And they're very, very simple inherits for Defense Boon and Resistance Boon. Does anyone have any questions now that we're at the end of this? Because I am going to talk... I'm going to talk about inheriting now. So we've discovered that we need to inherit a lot of things in a 5-star Magicite. They have 2 slots each. And in order to get the full effective 5-star Magicite, we're going to need to do a lot of inheriting. which means we need to do a lot of farming right now. For all of you that, you know, are able to farm Malorus and Midgard-Zormr, what do we do? What do we farm? What do we use all these keystones on? Why are we using all these keystones on Malorus and Midgard-Zormr? Please. Why? There's a good reason. There's a good reason. And I will go into that in a moment. No, I'm not getting a costume. Alright, now I wanted to have this article ready to go, but I was really busy this weekend. So I'm gonna have to wing it a little bit. To defeat these 5-star Magicites, we're gonna need more than what we have right now. Luckily, there is just a massive influx of new abilities being added to the game. I say luckily because a lot of people are going to feel like this is a mixed blessing. There is a lot of new 6-star abilities that, as long as we're able to defeat a certain level of the new torments that are coming out, we will have access to. And using those 6-star abilities is going to give us the ability to deal the amount of damage that we need to do to defeat these bosses. So it can't be done without them. Obviously, you want to be using 6-star more than 5-star. They just deal a hell of a lot more damage. So what I do here is go to Enliers, sort by rarity, and we see the stuff that has not been added to the game yet. Chain Faraja, Chain Thandaja, Chain Waterja, Chain Stoneja, Vortex. That's a lot of black magic. Quick Disaster for celerity, Lunar Leviathan for summoning, Explosion Strike, Rainstorm Strike, Scorching God Strike for Spellblade, Earth Iron Fist, Fire Iron Fist for Monk, Burn Revenge and Storm Revenge for Thief. Now, because of the way 5-star Magicite get released into the game, there's a progression of what abilities do we need here at what points in time. What is the first Magicite that we need to defeat in 5-star? Lightning. So we need Earth abilities. What Earth abilities can we use to defeat 5-star Magicite? Meltdown, already have it. I would hope that a lot of people out there already have Meltdown ready to go. So let's talk about the others. Chain Stonja. That is a 15.25 multiplier, 5 attack Earth ability. That's going to be a very important part of people's magical Earth team in defeating the 5-star Magicite. So Chain Stonja is a big one. What's next? Explosion Strike is an Earth 6-star Spellblade. Same multiplier. It is Snow Spell Strike, but for fire and earth instead. So Explosion Strike is going to be a big Spellblade for physical teams, especially if you're running Celeste or if you're running Bards. Next up, Earth Iron Fist is an Earth Monk ability that does 5 attacks, and when you have enough uses on it, it really just does a whole lot of damage. So this is going to be a very important ability for Tifa specifically. Also Galoof, but I think Galoof's going to be using a 5-star ability for that fight if you're using him, because of a mechanic defeating ability that Galoof has access to that Tifa doesn't. So this is more for Tifa. You don't have to worry about Earth Iron Fist if you're not going for Tifa on the 5th banner of the next festival. But I just highlighted 3 different abilities that we're going to have access to that are going to be very, very good for defeating the Lightning Magicite. And right away we see Chain Stonja, Black Crystals, Earth Crystals, Dark Crystals. Black is primary. Explosion Strike, Power Crystals, Fire Crystals, Earth Crystals. Commonality. Chain Stonja uses Earth Crystals. Explosion Strike uses Earth Crystals. No, there isn't, Troll. Next, Earth Iron Fist. Fire Crystal Primary. Earth Crystals, non-elemental crystals. Earth Crystals are used in every single one of these abilities. Fire Crystals are a primary in one and a secondary in another. Fire and Earth Crystals are right away, immediately, the most important crystals that we can farm outside of Power and Black. Power and Black are unavailable inside Magicites, so I'm not going to talk about them as much. That's something you go from, you farm dailies for. So what crystals can we farm from Magicites that are really important? Fire and Earth, and that's only right away. If we expand our search to the next Magicite, which is Fanfrit and Juice-Gyno, we need lightning abilities, which would be Chain Thundaja, Black Lightning Wind, Vortex, Black Ice and Lightning. Rainstorm Strike, Power Ice and Lightning. And that's it. We see a lot of lightning crystals necessary for use there. And if we go further, we need water abilities. And this is where fire comes back into the scene. Chain Waterja, Fire and Ice, Vortex, Ice and Lightning. Lunar Leviathan, Fire and Ice. See, what they have always liked to do for water abilities is to to represent water as an element inside, like, the context of orbs, they combine fire and ice, because you heat up ice and you create water. So what we're getting here is fire crystals get used a lot in earth abilities, and fire crystals get used a lot in water abilities. So we're able to, because of the way the progression of 5-star Magicite works, we're able to see what crystals are the highest in demand. Besides black and power, black crystals and power crystals are just gross in the amount of demand that they have for them, because they're primaries. Like, I'm almost certain that you're going to want all of these abilities for black magic: Champharaja, Thandaja, Waterja, Stoneja, and black crystals are primary on all of them. And same thing for Spellblades. Explosion, Rainstorm, and Scorching, primary powers. But where do we go from there? Why are we farming Magicites? What is a good reason to farm specific Magicites? Well, it's the crystals that they provide. I think Earth is the most pressing, but Earth as a crystal actually falls off after you don't need to make Earth abilities anymore. Imagine that. Fire doesn't. Fire is required for both Earth abilities and water abilities. And Ice and Lightning are also good crystals to farm, especially Lightning because of that second Magicite for Fanfurt and Juice Gyno, because all those abilities take Lightning, so they're about as useful as Earth are required here. So, using that knowledge, now we carry that over. Now we say, alright, I have a bunch of keystones here, and I know that I want to rack up some passives. I want to get some Magicite and farm them and get some passives going, so I can inherit those onto 5-star Magicite. What in the hell? Which Magicites do I farm in order to get these passives? Do I have a particular reason to farm I can get Precise Strikes from Eisgebind. I can also get Precise Strikes from Silver Dragon. And I can also get Precise Strikes from Mimic Queen. So where do I get Precise Strikes? Well, I created a priority list. And in my opinion, I would say that Lightning is probably the next most important after Fire and Earth. So how many passives can we cover in the Fire, Earth, and Ice Magicites? Turns out a lot, because Fire itself covers quite a few. In the Fire Magicite, we have Resistance Boon, which, as we know, we're going to need quite a few of, even if we only need 3 Fire mains to create a full Resistance Boon. Spell Ward is a nice one, but I think I'm only gonna make one level 99 Fire main for Spell Ward, which I already have. Because actually probably 2. Yeah, 2. Because we do get the ability to get a 5-star Spell Ward from the Water Magicite. So what I would do here for Fire main is mostly get them in like groups of 3s for Resistance Boons. King Bomb is actually just a great one because we need the Empower Fire, we need a ton of Magic Boons, and Health Boon is a nice one to have. And Malorus is the same way, with Deadly Strikes, Attack Boon, and Empower Fire. It's mostly for the Attack Boons and the Magic Boons. So that covers a lot of passives right there that are the highest at the priority queue. So what's important is where you go from here. Good morning, Adia. What Magicites here that are in-demand crystals can cover the passives that Fire can't cover? First of all, Earth. Earth is next. Because require many crystals, and they require them soon-ish. We got 3 months until 5-star Magicite are released. So can Earth Guardian cover anything for us that Fire can't? Turns out, yes. Earth Guardian can provide defense boons. So Earth Guardian is going to be a heavily farmed Magicite for me. I've actually farmed like 12 of them, so I should be able to level 12 up to 4 level 80s for 4 defense boons. Catastrophe is not useful. Except for the Empower Earth, right? Yeah, having an Empower Earth will be nice. Just to inherit onto a Catastrophe. Midgard Zormer. Fast Act. Covers Fast Act. So what passives have we not covered in Fire and Earth that we can cover in Lightning? My third priority. Precise Strikes. So I want to get my Precise Strikes from Mimic Queen. However, I already have a lot of Precise Strikes leveled up, so I will not be farming Mimic Queen for Precise Strikes. That's what I just did there. That's something you need to do. You need to identify how many of these passives you already have ready to go. I have 1,000,000 Precise Strikes, so I'm cool. So that's unfortunate that I don't have to farm Lightning Magicite at all, because that's the only thing that I would get here. So that's something for me to think about, that I'm maybe going to have to prioritize getting lightning crystals from other sources like dailies. And lastly, we still do have crystals left to, or sorry, passives left to cover. And I think we do get those from Ice, which would be the last priority on Krista. Christopher Blade Ward. And yeah, Dullahan has Spell Ward, but we can get that from Fire Main. So I actually made a list, and I have it on the Discord right now, and I'm going to make an article. This one is a 5-star Magicite building guide. I'm going to I guess I'll call it a Keystone farming guide. What we can do from now until 5-star are released with all of our Keystones, what kind of crystals we can turn them into. And I came up with Fire covers Attack Boon, Malorus, Magic Boon, King Bomb, Deadly Strikes, Malorus, Spell Ward, Fire Main, Resistance Boon, Fire Main, and Health Boon, King Bomb. It's a lot of passives just in the Fire. Which it's great that it covers all those passives because we need a lot of fire crystals. And honestly, all of this is kind of, if you have enough 4-star already leveled up, and I think I do, where I don't have to worry about any other passives, I think every single keystone that I use from now on is going to go towards fire crystals. That's how in demand they are, in my opinion. Just fire crystals, fire crystals, fire crystals. Yeah, Ricky definitely helped. I had a 2-hour conversation just trying to puzzle out where all this should go on. So after those passives, we have Precise Strikes, Fast Act, Blade Ward, and Defense Boon. Where do we get those? Defense Boon will be Earth Guardian, Fast Act Midgard Zormer. And that leaves 2 more passives that we've thrown down to our Lightning and Ice, which is Eisgebind and Mimic Queen can handle Precise Strikes, and Krista can handle Blade Ward. Does anyone have any questions on how I came to this and how this is all kind of interlinked, where First, I determined what kind of teams do I want to make. And by determining what kind of teams I wanted to make, I determined what passives I wanted to inherit. By knowing what passives I wanted to inherit, I determined what Magicite I would want to farm for those passives. And then I combined that knowledge with what crystals do I need and kind of where's the intersection? Where is passives I need, crystals I need? Where do I farm? And it's pretty much, thankfully, almost strictly Fire Magicite. I say thankfully, but as I think I said last night on Discord, I'm so sick of farming Malorus, and I know it's not going to stop anytime soon. We get 9 keystones a week, so that's 9 Malorus kills a week. Along with the stock of keystones that I have. So there's going to be a lot of dead snake. And the reason why okay, one thing you don't have to worry about as much on fire crystals. They are very important, okay? But the reason why I'm so focused on fire crystals is because of a banner that I'm pulling on. And that is the 5th banner of this coming festival. Malorus is probably the easiest farm for a lot of people because the strongest elemental team in the game is the water team. The water team is so easy because as far as single elemental strength goes, no one beats Titus. Titus is the king of this game when it comes to single elemental strength. So as long as you have like a couple things for Titus, you're probably in a pretty good position to sub 30 Malorus. So it is a good situation that the game is in for you. But anyway, back to the 5th banner of this festival. I love the 5th banner of this festival. I love it. If you notice what's going on here, with Tifa, Ash, and Garnet, what 2 elements do they represent? Earth and Lightning. What are the first 2 elements that we need to combat 5-star Magicite? Earth, then Lightning. This is... As long as this is a good banner for the elements that they represent, this would be, in my opinion, the first or second best banner in the festival for preparing for 5-star Magicite. And it turns out that both of the festival banners in this festival are quite good, and they're quite good at preparing for 5-star Magicite. This banner has Tifa's ASB. This is the highest CPS thing that we have in the game. And Tifa gets an awesome one. Ash gets an awesome one for Magical Lightning. Garnet gets the Magical Chain. Awesome. Tifa gets an monk ability double USB. USB 2. Awesome. For dealing earth damage. And Ash's incredible USB for dealing lightning damage. So what this is a magical lightning and physical earth banner. Which in my opinion is going to be a really useful thing for the becoming 5-star Magicite. So I really like this banner. So me really liking this banner means something dangerous. Ash, her USB, chase black magic with Lightning Sigil. Lightning Sigil is determined by the hone level. The hone level of the ability that you're using. It's going to require a lot of orbs or crystals. And Tifa, monk ability double. A lot of hones required. Gonna require a lot of hones, or a lot of orbs or crystals. So this builds into why I personally am focusing on fire. because not only is fire good if you're not planning on going for Tifa, because it's useful for earth abilities and for water abilities, but if you plan on pulling for Tifa, you're going to want a well-honed Fire Iron Fist, or sorry, Earth Iron Fist, which is a primary fire crystal. So added on top of the useful fire crystals already, fire crystals become at a even higher premium. Because if I want to R4 or R5 Fire Iron Fist, I'm going to need 30, 60, 110, 110 or 210 fire crystals. It's exhausting. And for Ash, we either want Chain Thundaja or Vortex. Vortex is a meltdown clone, except for Ice, Water, and Lightning. I think I'm going to be an elitist scum, and even though Chain Thundaja is only slightly stronger in multiplier, but it's 5 hits to the 4 hits of Vortex, I'm probably going to R5 Chain Thundaja. Which means I'm going to be looking for black crystals and lightning crystals. Wind is also going to be important. I'd put wind after ice on the priority list. I hope R4 is enough, because I will pair it with the 5-star Earth Monk ability to help out. But if I can afford it, if I can farm the crystals, and that's what all this is about, is what to farm, I will R5 Earth Iron Fist. I will do it. Because if I can use 5 uses of Earth Iron Fist on Tifa over the course of the fight, that is more damage. Or more, like if I want to start out using it. Use a single, then USB, then use 4 more with the remaining 8 ability uses. With ability double, the higher hone the better. With rank-based boosts and rank-based chases like Ash, the more the better. So, though I really like this banner, it's gonna be hell on my crystals. Whew, okay. I'm done. Yeah, dealing fire damage... dealing fire damage, luckily, is a long ways away. But that is yet another reason to be stacking up fire crystals. If you think that you have enough fire crystals now for what you want to do, you don't, because you're going to be using fire crystals for Earth. You're going to be using fire crystals for water, and you're going to be using fire crystals for fire. Are the clear videos that you're watching that omit Pro, Proteka, and Shelga use Tyro with his USB 3? Because that wouldn't be omitting Proteka and Shelga, because Tyro's USB 3 uses them. And that's a good strategy, by the way. Tyro's USB 3 combined with using the Alara RW, Fabula Priestess. So Tyro's USB 3 is defense plus 200%, resistance plus 200%, haste to the entire party, protect to the entire party, and shell to the entire party. And it's really good in combination with something that boosts soul breaks that deal damage in some way that also increase stats, which I know just the thing, and that's Generation 2 chains. So one thing I went over, is Garnet's Chain here. Activate Lightning Chain 150% instead of the 100% that we have now. Party Magic plus 50%. So a really common pairing is Tyro's USB combined with a Generation 2 chain, which is stat boost plus 50% and the chain. Is that USB coming back soon? Tyro's USB 3? Yes. It's actually on the first banner of this festival. And I talked about that briefly. Said there were 2 banners in particular in this festival that are geared towards early 5-star Magicite. And that would be banner 1. While not elementally based, Alara's USB is, in my opinion, the most powerful healer soul break in the game. And because it is the most powerful healer soul break in the game, it's useful on every single team. And I do have time. I can talk about another article that I published recently called the S-tier characters list. Oh, right. Alara and Tyro are both here. Alara's ultra powerful USB and Tyro's very good USB 3. So I made another article, which I'm going to post in chat. Before, in the past, I've made much more complicated tier lists. I don't have as much time to do stuff like that as I used to, because I basically dedicated an entire week and then some to making these. So what I did was I simplified. I made a list of characters who I think are the most valuable in the game. And the fact that they're strong characters that can be some of the top choices across different teams. Rather than, you know, like, here's your S tier or for dealing water damage. This is an S tier characters list, which is just general. And they're useful characters to go after if you want, you know, to use less gacha to accomplish more. So I'm actually going to read word for word here. As I've done in the past, I will begin by stating that tier lists can be dangerous and detrimental if consumed as nothing but a list of names. Ultima. I would suggest reading my lessons why I believe certain characters belong here and what the list actually represents. This way you can confirm or deny whether the list or parts of it are applicable to you or not. What the list does represent is a collection of what I dub the most valuable characters in the game. Yes, Ease. As in, they fulfill the conditions as a top team member on many different teams at the highest level of content, which is the approaching tournaments and 5-star Magicite fights. That is what, for the purposes of this list, that is what I am considering top tier content. Tournaments, 5-star Magicite. This means multi-elemental damage dealers, the best support who is now also a multi-elemental mage because of course he is, and the 2 new healers that lift offense and protection up to new heights that not even Realm and Aphmau can reach. Alright, so the list is actually quite short, which is nice because it allows me to keep it updated. Yes, not sets of Magicites, they give single Magicites. You kill one, it gives a single Magicite. There's no randomness. You kill the other, it gives one of their Magicite. Alright, so first on the list is probably a surprise to nobody, Onion Knight. The Onion Knight has the potential to be a key contributor on every single physical and magical Magicite team that you build. That means that Onion Knight is potentially a 17-team character. Because there are 16 Magicite fights and a single Final Fantasy III tournament. His role during the 4-star Magicite era cannot be overstated. He is the most valuable character in the game at the time I'm publishing this article. He is. This character actually changes for the worse in the coming era due to Generation Chains, which have a plus 50% attack or magic buff on them, and the Heiska 5-star white magic ability, as well as Tyro's USB 3. So the combination of Heiska and an attack buff or magic buff, magic and mind buff, aren't as useful for 5-star as they were for the 4-star Magicites. However, he's still on this list because that doesn't matter. You can take away the power of the Magicite, or take away the power of the Onion Knight, and he still ends up being one of the most powerful characters in the game. The Onion Knight stays very relevant as a buffer, considering that you're not going to have every Generation 2 chain unless you're a gacha wizard, and the plus 50% magic chains still stack with his magical USB. Because his magical USB is a 3-stat buff. It's magic, mind, and resistance, I believe. The magical soft cap is quite high at 1056, while attack is 806. Simply put, magic is more useful to mages than attack is to physical, giving Onion Knight a key role on more teams than simply ones you don't have a Generation 2 chain for. So, teams that you don't have a Generation 2 chain for, Onion Knight. Teams that you do have a Generation 2 chain for, that are magic teams, are still going to be good for Onion Knight. You may not want to use them, but he's still going to be a good option for those teams. And Onion Knight's USB, his physical USB, is so good because of the haste, the 50% crit rate, and the ninja status that he gives himself, that even losing that 50% attack buff, because it's an overlap with Generation 2 chains, is still going to make him a good character on teams with Generation 2 chains. So he's just so good. He's just so good. Beyond buffing, Onion Knight, in not the festival that's coming up in June, or this month, is going to get a USB 3 in the Autumn Festival in September that makes him a Quadra Elemental Mage, in case you can't find a place for his buffing. So even if you're running the Tyro USB 3 and chain combination I talked about, Onion Knight can just, alright, well, I'll use my USB 3 instead on this team, instead of my USB, my magical USB. And extra points to Onion Knight's USB 3 for being Earth, Water, Fire, and Wind. Earth, Water, and Wind are all rare elements to find mages in. So the fact that he can cover as a mage in those 3 elements is even more points that Onion Knight didn't need to be considered probably the most valuable character in the game. Next up, Alara. Mimicking Onion Knight's versatility, Alara can be your healer on every Magicite team. The difference is what she provides to the team is less susceptible to replacement from other essential party roles. Her healing and offensive party buffs are unmatched for magical teams, while only Aerith equals her value on physical teams. With the release of her USB, she becomes, in my humble opinion, the most valuable character in the game. I do believe that. I think Alara is a 16-team character, being the best healer on every Magicite team. And the difference between her and Onion Knight's versatility is that Onion Knight may be because he might get booted off a team because of a Generation 2 chain and Tyro, or even Alma's USB, or the Heiska ability. Onion Knight may be just like a 12 or a 14 team character. Alara is the best. She is the best, and she can't be replaced. The only thing can't be replaced, I hesitate there, because there is one thing that Aerith has over Alara, is that her USB has Last Stand on it. So on physical teams where you're running a comp where Last Stand is pretty much mandatory, Aerith can potentially be better on that team than Alara is. Here's the thing, though, is Alara has a Burst Soul Break, which gives Last Stand. So in some of those situations in which Aerith would be better than Alara, as long as you're willing to devote one of those USB casts to Alara, Alara can also provide last stand to the party. So, moving on to Aerith, how do you manage to be S tier? If another character meets or exceeds your capabilities in almost every way, well, it helps that the other character is Alara. And with Aerith being a phenomenal healer with your USB for half of the Magicites as well as a Torment, means she is one of the most valuable characters in the game. So Aerith is an amazing healer for 8 Magicite fights and the Final Fantasy VII Torment. A 9-team character is awesome. Awesome. Add in the last stand present on her USB that allows her to be even better than Alara for some team comps. And you have who I consider to be the second best healer in the game, and still well worth being on this list. Also, not surprising, Bartz. Bartz is a Quadra Elemental specialist that can, with the aid of his Bizarro World Glint, fill in on more than just his primary elements. For the time being, I consider him a 5-team Wonder Buddy, with 4 Magicites and a Torment, so 5 teams. This number has a chance to improve 2 notches in the future after some testing. I don't know how powerful Bartz and his Glint are. We don't have anything in the game that quite mimics what Bartz and his Glint are capable of. And I was actually theory crafting on Discord the other day about Bart's USB 2. And the fact that Bart's USB 2 increases the damage output of all of his elements because it's more Spellblade focused, where his USB 1 is more, because of the chase, only procs off of those 4 elements. His USB 1 is more 4 elementally focused. And it's probably better than his USB 2 for those 4 elements. So I was thinking, with his USB 2, what kind of value could this bring? And because it's more Spellblade focused, I was thinking that possibly his USB 2 could be a Lightning and Ice USB that would make him, combined with his Glint, a much better character in those 2 elements where we don't consider him as well. It's going to require testing, and that's why I didn't put that here. I plan on pulling on the Bartz banner, and I hope I get his USB 2, or mostly I hope I get his Glint. But if I get his USB 2, I'm not going to be unhappy with that. And if I do, and I discover that his USB 2 plus Glint makes him a good Ice and Lightning character as well, I'll change him into a 17 character, because that will be 6 Magicites and Final Fantasy V Torment. So moving on. With ASBs being the most powerful direct-to-image options we have, and Bart's untaxed Quadra Elemental Monstrosity being the best ASB in the game, Bart's starts immensely strong and works down from there. 4 N-element BSBs, a remarkable Quadra Element USB 1, what may be a sneaky good USB 2, and ending with another USB masquerading as a Glint. His Glint is as powerful as a USB. Not only does he work well on multiple teams, but he's forgiving in the gacha as well, because there's many different ways and many different items that you can have that make Bartz a powerful character. And that's why I say forgiving. He may not seem like it, because the more relics you get for him, the better, but you don't need much for him to be good. You could just have an ASB with him, and he'd be a powerful character. Alara, help us if you have all of Bart's full equipment. Yeah, if you have everything for Bart's, he's just gross. But cells. That's mostly in reference to the Japanese client, where Bart's is the favorite character, the favorite Final Fantasy character in Japan, and that's why he has so many things. It's because he makes money. Is the Glint triple cast? No, it's not. It's high quick cast Spellblades and a rank-based ability increase. So you glint, and as long as you're using an R5, you get plus 30% damage, and all spell blades that you use are high quick cast. So it's good for all spell blades, and that's why I think combined with the USB 2, together, they could probably be really good for lightning and ice as well. So next up we have basically sorta mini Barts. Sora's weird. Global got him much earlier than we were supposed to, even though he's not due to improve at any time in the near future. He started out obscenely powerful and will coast on that for a long time to come. Being great on only 3 teams makes him close to being cut from this list, but I'm allowing it for now. Sora's main strength is that he starts out the fight with an element, which makes his ASB extremely powerful, which he can then use to no-effort ASB when he reaches 750 Soul Break point mark. And this is after using 6-star spell blades to get there, with other strong options in his USB and BSB to better fill in the other types of team comps, like the Ice team comp, for instance. His BSB is less useful on an Ice team comp because Squall and his BSB 2 kind of reign supreme there, and you want to use Thunder God mode if you're using burst soul breaks like that. So if you have Thunder God mode taken up by Squall, who's the better character, then using Sora in a different way is better. Anyway, it makes him an extremely valuable character because he's that powerful for those 3 elements. It's subject to change. He's kind of on the edge. Because only 3 teams was where my cutoff point was. Renoa. This all happened so fast to me. I never wanted to leave my happy place when Renoa was an easy to ridicule mess. But a Chain Soul Break, 50 USBs and LMRs, and a Bart's Tier Glint later, here we are. Renoa is an extremely strong character in 2 elements and her Torment. With her BLK-typed kit and her Glint, she becomes a realistic option for even more. So what I'm saying here is the reason why Renoa's on this list is she is a 3-team character, because she's dual elemental and she works in her Torment. But beyond just those 3 elements, Renoa's Glint is a magical version of Bart's, which gives her a black magic rank-based ability boost. So if you have an R5, you get 30% increased black magic and high quick cast black magic. So that makes her all elemental for all black magic. Not as good as her 2 main elements, but she can fill in, which increases the value of the character, and that's why she's here. Renoa just has the Soul Break for the situation, with a rank-based Ice Chase, 2 of the better Brave USBs, 1 for each of her primary elements, a dual element ASB, and a broad damage high quick cast BLK Glint. DNA made Renoa really good, and I hate them for it, because I hate Renoa. I really hate her. But she's gonna be like... she's a character I'm going to be pulling heavily for in the future. She's remarkably powerful in Ice and Earth, but she's a broad mage. Any element that black magic can deal, she's really good at. Which is quite a few. Fire, Wind, Earth, Ice, Water, Lightning. Next up, Vivi and Palom. Vivi and Palom are mentioned here together because what they do is very similar. With their ability double USBs and other means to increase their broad BLK damage rather than their specific elements, Fire and Lightning respectively. They tap into their... I love this word, broad, huh? They tap into their broad elemental coverage of black magic to contribute gobs of damage and chain building on numerous elemental teams. They are 2/3 of the second triumvirate. Maria also has an ability double USB. But Maria has been omitted since she, with her bad Legend Dive and single element LMR, doesn't have the same tools as the other two for inflicting pain outside of her chosen element. However, in single elemental performance, Maria exceeds them purely on the back of the fact that she has an ASB, while they do not. So Maria is a awesome mage, but she's an earth mage. Vivi and Palom are really, really good fire and lightning mages, but because of this coming paragraph, Vivi and Palom both have access to black magic dual casting on top of their guaranteed USB double cast. Vivi's comes from a Trance LM2, which is stronger at 50% chance, while Palom's is a 35%, but not Trance, but is boosted by increased presence of plus BLK damage in his various dives, his record dive and his legend dive. This makes them potent mages for every Magicite except Holy and Dark. So they're 16 characters. And really think about it. With enough plus BLK damage, which both Vivi and Palom have, and ability doubling for black magic, and the ability to have another cast on top of that, they can potentially cast like 12 to 15 times, 12 to 15 hits a turn from a fairly strong base of plus BLK damage. So they're dealing decent damage, and especially with a chain, they deal a hell of a lot of damage outside of their chosen elements. So that's why Vivi and Palom are here. And lastly, we have Yuffie. Yuffie, like Sora, barely made it on here. With her glint and the general craziness of ninja abilities, she's a potent damage dealer in 3 elements and a member of a Torment team. Even the occasional jankiness of keeping physical blink stacks up can't limit her damage enough to make her less than a powerful option. It's particularly unlikely that you'll be 7-hitting ninja abilities in the 5-star Magicite. The 5-star Fire Magicite deals a lot of area of effect physical attacks, so it's really hard to keep up blink stacks, but that's actually okay, because that's the element where Yuffie is the most forgiving, with all her primary soul breaks, including her ASB, being present and accounted for there. So she's less reliant on dealing 7-hit water attacks in that Magicite. So she isn't punished too hard for having more physical blink generators. And what I mean by this is, if you've seen her USB 2, you know her USB 2 is gross. Because if you have blink stacks, then her USB 2 does a very, very powerful chase. So if you don't have blink stacks available for her, you can just use the physical blink generator. And right, as Noxus said, rely on her LMR proccing that allows her to generate 1, or if she dual casts, she generates 2, and then does a full power chase, or generate 1, and her LMR procs for 2 that allows her to do a full damage chase. So even though she's not using the super high damage 7-hitter, that's actually okay in water. So beware your Dark Orb stash. Rank Beast, anything is the Mind Killer. That's in reference to her Glint being a rank-based ability booster. The more ranks you have on the ability, the more damage it does, and that's for her dealing dark and earth damage. Because that's, while she has N water, she doesn't have that for the other 2 elements. That's what her glint is for. The glint is what makes her multi-elemental, while her USB 2 is what makes her a water specialist. Alright, that's the end. That is the S tier. I'm considering making a second list for characters that are so obscenely powerful at their single element that they deserve mention, but I didn't want to put those people on this list. I didn't want to give away the reference of Mind Killer. Is there anybody here that understands the reference of is the Mind Killer? Please. Way to go, Scotty. Scotty gets it. Advanced setup I've seen include the 6-star ninja ability honed to R5, use it to build meter, then glint. Yeah, you can also do that. The nice thing about non-elemental 6-star abilities is they generate a lot of soul break points. And the ninja one is instantaneous, so it deals a fair amount of, or it generates a pretty fast amount of soul break points. Fear is the mind killer. Yep. Yeah, you can see it here, actually. Stitch in Time, instantaneous. And generates 90 soul break points. Where if you go down here and see Reflecting Pool, which is what you would use instead, it does do more damage, that's for sure. But it longer cast time. And it generates 99 soul break points. So only a few more soul break points. So what you're sacrificing here is a little bit of damage for more soul break points. And the nice part about Stitch in Time is that it also gives her an attack buff, which she can later in the fight convert into more damage. You could be. This list is valuable characters for across elements. It doesn't mean that you can't have a team that's completely well suited to sub 30 a single element. Because there's plenty of really powerful single elemental characters in the game. Notice there's no people with chains listed here. Alright, Orlandu was actually a point of contention. He was originally on the list and I took him off. Because it turns out Orlandu's not that good for the Earth 5-star Magicite. And what 3 elements does Orlandu do? Earth, Dark, and Holy. Because it turns out that he's kind of iffy for the Earth Magicite, and because Holy and Dark are so far away, I couldn't make a case for him being a multi-fight character. What Orlandu is to me is the strongest Final Fantasy Tactics Torment character, which makes him fairly valuable. Just I don't think it was enough to get him onto the list. If I was extending how valuable a character was into how good they are in 4-star Magicite, he'd easily be up there. He does do lightning with his OSB, but it's not like Crazy Town stuff. It's definitely not on the level of his other elements, because he doesn't ability double lightning. All he does is use an OSB. And Spellblade abilities, which he can't dual cast or anything like that. He can fill in on a lightning team, probably. I wanted to ask, since I'm struggling with Shadow Dragon, my physical team does not have damage even with Chain. But I now have Sid Rain's BSB and Arc BSB 2 dived with an innate mage. Fall off the earth. Did I say fall off the earth? Oh, fall off earth. I had just heard this from other people, which is he needs to use Earthbringer, because if he uses Earth Saber, he has a chance of dying. I don't know. I don't really understand it myself, because I think if you're using Orlandu and Ingus together, that gives you at least one last stand source. So the fact that he makes himself susceptible to getting one shot isn't that damaging. Yeah, that's true. The instant celerity ability. I think he works so much better with Spellblades, though, Troll, because of his OSB, since by himself he's going to be reducing all of his cast times by 66%. And if you have someone like Alara or Aerith on the team, it's going to be making everything instantaneous anyway. So at that point, you'd actually rather use the 5-star Lightning Spellblade, if not the 6-star Lightning Spellblade, than the 6-star Celerity ability. Right, the problem with Earthbringer on Orlandu is that he doesn't have the hones. Because you need to occupy one slot with Gaia Cross. Unless you have, like, an insane piece of armor. So, you'd only get 5 uses of Earthbringer. So yeah, my Earth team physical, if all goes well, my Earth team for physical will be Alara, Bartz, Galoof, Tifa, and one more. Probably Yuffie to build chain. Or, oh no, probably not Yuffie. Someone more supporty. Because Tifa, Bartz, and Galoof are going to do enough damage by themselves. Oh, Tyro. Tyro can wall in and trust. So, either I use Tyro there, or probably, I don't know. I only have Milliadul's bursts. I don't plan on going after a USB, so no. Magical team, if all goes well, Renoa, Maria, Red 13, Tyro, and Alara. All will not go well, and who knows? Who knows what happens from there? It's part of the fun of the game, right? Picking up the pieces after the gacha hits the wall. Trying to make something out of what comes out. So it is Magicite Monday. What Magicite do I farm? The snake. This is Eisgebind. Oops. Yeah, VVUSB covers a lot of holes, and I should have gone into that. So, not everything is going to go according to plan. I'm probably going to have to plug one of those holes on the Earth team with somebody, and who better to do that than Vivi? Because that's what he does. It's like, oh, you guys need help on this element? Well, I can do that, because of course I can. No problem, Gru. If I was going for speed, I wouldn't be casting a wall with Yuffie right now. I'm going for consistency because I want to do this fight the least amount of times that I actually have to. Luckily, the team's strong enough to not worry as much about losing that damage. Yeah, that's pretty desperate. It's pretty desperate. I'm not sure if that's actually even feasible for 5-star Magicite. They're pretty powerful. Oops. Thank you for the subscribe. All the subscribes I can get right now are very, very important. Very useful. Are you going to deal damage? You have to on your next attack. It's got to be a Savage Viraga. Will there be a celebration? Honestly, yeah, there should be. Give me them sweet fire crystals. Well, hopefully by the time, I'm sure it will happen, by the time Holy and Dark Magicites come out for 5-star, we'll have better tools. That's months down the line. I don't doubt that Ramzen Cypher's chains are going to be useful for them. And, Seymour's, probably Garland's too. Think about Garland as he's such a strong dark character, even outside of his chain. He's kind of like Tidus in that regard. Not as good as Tidus, but getting there. So even though Garland has a weaker chain, he can be a huge asset to a party outside of that. Snaky snake. Soggy snake. When she does that, it's just so much damage. Nope, didn't mean to do that. You're dead anyway. Just have to do a long animation before I can get there. Fire crystals we will farm. So I've got, what, 6 hours and 20 minutes until it switches over to Black Crystal Daily. So I want to give myself 7 hours room of stamina. So 3 more Magicites, which will be all the Magicites I need to do for the week. Three more Malors. I'm saving a lot of these keystones and only doing the bare minimum because I plan on unloading all of these keystones when we have half-cost Magicite, so they'll only be 20 or 10 stamina instead of 20. Unless I find out that that half-cost Magicite happens during the always open daily. You know, I actually don't know. Yeah, it's okay. Even if we have all open dailies during the festival again, and that's only where I can do half stamina, Maj. I'll still do all my Magicite then. When does half-cost Magicite happen? I don't know. I don't know the exact date. You're supposed to do something. Thank you. It's so slow. There you go. That's a very long time. Tough question. You gonna end it? I don't think you do enough damage. Nope. I suppose so. Unless you count, like, fan hacks and stuff. There's no Final Fantasy that's really difficult. They're more, casual type games. There's no incentive for the company to make them overly difficult. Whereas with this, there is incentive. The more difficult you make the game, the more you shake that carrot on the stick for people to make purchases that help them overcome that difficulty. Tell you what. It's hot in the desert. End it, Yuffie. Yeah. Even if she didn't... Oh, didn't double gas. That should be enough. The people gonna die this time. I've been trying to avoid people dying for... I don't know what reason I would have for that. Oh, poor Aphmau. She works so hard. Last one? Last one, I think. It'll tell me when I hit the last one. Because the mission for the next keystone will complete. Lara, give me your USB. It's required. It's not really, but don't tell her that. Not really sure, actually. I don't think we got a date for it. Though I haven't looked at the producer video transcript in a while. And hello, Robo Monkey. Yeah, the Reddit schedule shows the 18th, but right, it's it doesn't look like it's, you know, concrete. So I don't know what the source is. Probably just a timestamp from the maintenance. Trying something different. This is gonna cause Aphna to die. Thinking maybe I could get under 18 seconds, but probably would have needed better RNG from Yuffie. Yeah, the 500 gem draw. It's really nice. It's just a worthy price of admission for a selection for a VA BSB. And some of those BSBs are really nice. Like Sephiroths, like Rudes. There we go. We're good to go. What's the damage? What are my fire crystals at? How do you cure a fear of using motes? I don't know. How far progressed into content are you? Only 182 fire crystals. I want a whole lot more than that. I don't think so, Jaden. I think they want to forget about that. Well, one thing you can do is say, I'm not going to dive anybody right now. Because there's a festival in 3 weeks. Yeah, that's the parade draws, Derek. And yeah, that starts on June 9th. So since there's a festival in 3 weeks, Toshiro, what you can do is just wait till after you pull some stuff on the festival. It's my goal for fires. As many as humanly possible. It's so high that there's no way I could meet it with keystones, so all of my keystones go to fires. If I got Orlando's USB on daily draw, you wouldn't dive him? Yeah, I certainly would dive him. I'd need to for the Final Fantasy Tactics Torment. Torments are going to make it a lot easier to dive characters, so it's not just going to be for Magicite fights anymore. So I'm pulling on this banner. Ram's dive stinks. Seifer's dive stinks. Alara's is really good. Tyro's, I don't know about Tyro. Probably not. Orlando. So we have Orlando and Alara, which would be potential dives from pulling on Banner 1 for me. Pulling on Banner 5. I think, does Tifa's dive suck? No, Tifa's dive's fine. It gives her quick cast 3. So Tifa, Ash, and Garnet would all be potential dives. So I got 5 dives I'm looking at from the festival. Potentially. Yeah. I don't know if there's any safe spot. That's safe. Can't wait to get rid of all of these. $10 keystones. 26. 29 fire crystals. This is officially a relic draw stream. Hell yeah. Alright. I'm super hungry. I covered everything I wanted to do. I even did some Magicites. This was a fitting Magicite Monday. I'll be streaming on Wednesday. So I'll see everybody on Wednesday for the normal weekly Record Keeper stream. Have a good one.